Hello and welcome back to the Lore Raider. My Christmas present to you good people this year is one of the most requested matchups I get on this channel. That's right, today Santa Raider himself will be pitting everyone's favorite bounty hunter against the rotund pink puffball himself, Kirbo. Kirby. But Lore Raider, I hear you say. I hear some of you saying, Kirby killed a god! A god! He's got infinite power, Lore Raider. Isn't that just GG, Lore Raider? Well, kind soul, educated individual, allow me to show you what those two statements on their own mean to actual credible scalers. Anyway, with that out of the way, if you're familiar with any of my videos on my channel, you know that Samus Aran is a real tough customer, and I don't like to waste my viewers' time, so let's get right into the heavy-hitting scales. The crux of Kirby's high-end scaling revolves around his scaling to Void, Termina, and Magolor, respectively, with the defeat of a Magolor amped by the power of the Master Crown causing the destruction of a location known as the Another Dimension, with the realm completely collapsing in the process. What was destroyed here are various full-sized universes, and we know this to be the case as some of those universes, such as those that house the likes of Parallel DDD, Parallel Krakow, and Parallel Woods, being described as parallel universes to the main Kirby universe. And of course, we actually get to see the destruction of Another Dimension itself in the game, which, depending on who you ask, is a destruction between anywhere between 4 and 16 different universes. Now, the uninformed might think that Another Dimension is a higher realm that encompasses many of these lower dimensions, but that's not the case. Another Dimension is actually a multiverse that refers to a plural number of universes that make up this cluster of sorts. And whilst Magolor is powerful, Kirby would end up doing battle against an even more tough opponent, Void Termina, who is so powerful he's described as Kirby's greatest battle at that time, and is strong enough to make 4 giant versions of that same Master Crown I mentioned earlier and use it in his normal attacks like it's nothing. And although Kirby did have help in the battle against the monster, this all places Kirby firmly in low multiversal.
But Lore Raider, what about higher dimensional scales for Kirbo?
Well, you see, loyal viewer, there are no good higher dimensional arguments for Kirby. You see, there are 2 ways people attempt to pull this off, usually via Galactic Knight or our good friend Magolor. People try to equate that Galactic Knight, who was stated to be transported through to, the main world via an extra dimensional road, as some sort of higher dimensional feat, though this is completely off screen, cannot be extrapolated. We don't even know the nature of such travel. Again, completely off screen. But they would also try to say that it could potentially be the same route that Magolor may or may not have used to escape a realm beyond space and time. Now, what do I mean by that? You see, according to some developers like Kumuzaki, they have suggested, are very vague and indecisive about it, but have suggested that Magolor, during his off-screen imprisonment in the Void, may have found an exit to said realm. But to highlight how indecisive the creators are, they say, and I quote, "Customers are free to imagine how that would change things." When you leave it up to the customer's imagination, doesn't inspire confidence, does it? But Magolor's imprisonment within this transcendent space is also flatly a massive outlier, never repeated again in the massive multi-game Kirby franchise. So is this 3-dimensional Kirby capable of beating Samus?
No!
Why? Compare this to our own Samus Aran, whose 5th-dimensional nature comes from the fact that she keeps up with ghosts who come from a space beyond space and time, and not only does she fight these ghosts again, and again, and again, and again, but even the slowest entity in Metroid, the normally immobile Phazon, was fast enough to rip the ghosts from their higher dimension and make them the accursed Chozo ghosts that we know and hate. But Samus even goes to the afterlife dimension herself and moves around just fine on screen. And the fight for Kirby only gets worse from there, and no amount of supposed god-killing can save the pink pastry. From an AP standpoint, Samus scales above Prime 2 Dark Samus, who, whilst on the brink of death, as literal phazon dust, as weak as she could possibly be, tanked the collapse of Dark Aether, which is said to be a trans-dimensional duplicate of the real universe, and as a duplicate it should be infinite in size, just like the normal universe is stated to be. Later, we see Samus create a single white hole that spans the entirety of that infinite universe in the Samus and Joy manga, which scales to her own stats given the villain attempted the same feat with black holes, but the use of the ability overtaxed and killed him, so we know it taxes durability. Then over every game, Samus gets 5 times amps on a very regular basis, so much so that between fighting a prototype of a machine and the final version, just a week apart, she got 500 times stronger over that span of time. And it's been the better part of a decade since Prime 2. Samus is very easily high multiversal within 5D, or to word it another way, can bust a high multiversal number of 5D universes. With the sheer amount of universes she should be capable of busting, even with the most conservative estimates of her power growth being in the octillions of universes, if you count the amps. Speed is, as you can imagine, also Samus's game. Whilst Kirby is by no means slow, his famous feat of hitting a meteor so hard it flies at speeds of 6 quintillion meters per second is nothing to sneeze at. However, it is nothing next to Samus, who should scale to the Chozo Ghost and actually moved inside the realm beyond space and time consistently. She would be immeasurable speed, and it just isn't fair. The fight would be over before it ever began, with Kirby as this sad pink paste on the floor. You know, but hey, he killed a god, right? But assuming he could try to get one of his classic win cons off, say his suction breath, could he clench a win? No! Why? The gravity suit, of course. It's stated to literally ignore the laws of physics to stabilize gravity for Samus and Samus alone. And given even Zero Suit, Samus is unharmed from the gravity of planet Zebes, which reaches 1065 Earth's gravity, there's very little Kirby could actually do to suck up Samus anyway. Ironically, as a Metroid, Samus would be the one to suck the life out of Kirby and steal his abilities. But hey, Kirbo fans, you know, sure the pink Lovecraftian monster didn't win, but surely that's okay, right?
Abandon your post! Flee for your life!
Okay, maybe not.